I just spend a lot of time in the stores and I talk to the salespeople and say, what do you need? What can help? What are people saying? What do you need from me? What would help you? You know, because again, we sell furniture, we deliver furniture. I spend money. So it's like, I'm in that negative. I don't add to the bottom line. And again, that's not what marketing people do. But if what I'm doing is not helping you, if what we're not doing in marketing is not helping to make a difference, to bring consumers to you, to grow our e-commerce business, to kind of, then we're just talking to ourselves.
Welcome back, everybody. This is another edition of Over a Pint Marketing. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is a show about marketing. We're talking to marketers about what's going on in the space, what's happening, how do you stay abreast in a space that is changing every day, it seems like. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Mr. Kurtl. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. Pat, yourself?
I'm great, man.
You look great.
I'm fired up.
I know you are.
Dude, we've had like we're starting off 2023 hot, man. We've got some great guests on here.
We are.
And Chad Dern is joining us today. Chad right now is the VP of marketing over at Steinhafels, which is a major home furnishings brand. But man, that is just the tip of the iceberg. This guy has got a resume that people would freaking kill for. Chad, you're just one impressive dude. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Well, I appreciate that. Hopefully I can keep your hot streak for 23 going alive.
Yeah,
here.
For sure, man. I know you will, because this is going to be good to get into this. Let's start right away. But Chad, we got a little routine here at first. Yeah. It's called Over a Pint for a reason. We like to have a little pint every now and then. Chad, what do you got in front of you?
Well, again, I am a lifelong Miller guy, so I worked 12 years at the Miller Brewing Company. So I'm enjoying a nice Miller Lite here in my Yeti mug here. But Miller Lite Draft is still my beer of choice. Like
awesome.
It is still the theme.
No microbreweries for you. You're going big brand.
I mean, that's fine, but it's still like I'm still like
brand loyal.
Brand loyal.
Brand loyal to the end. Love it.
One of the best beers made, but I'm good.
Kurt, what do you got, man?
Well, I'm category loyal, Pat. I'm just loyal to beer. Yeah. So here's what I'm going with. I'm going with a Belgian stout from Raised Grain Brewing out of Waukesha. Great brewery. I really like what they're doing out there. I've had this one before on the show. I love it. Cheers. Good to have you on, Chad.
Cheers. Thanks, Kurt.
Kurt, this is another one from the 24 Days of Christmas.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. This is sure. From Mobcraft, 86 on 94. It's a hazy IPA.
It's
I just
good.
reached in this looks.
Oh, Pat, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
We've got a lot to cover. We only have a little bit of time. Chad, give us the elevator pitch on your background. The mic is yours, sir.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so like I've been in marketing my whole career. It's one of these things. It's kind of a goofy story, quite honestly. I went to school out of Chicago. I was at Northwestern University. I was an economics major, thinking something kind of sexy like finance or banking or something kind of cool like that. So you actually interview with finance companies and banks and realize not necessarily the people you want to work with. And then I guess as the story goes, which is a true one, as often happens, is a girl gets involved, and so suddenly I'm dating a girl, and I needed a job in Chicago versus other dreams of New York or Washington or something cool like that. So quite simply, I was looking for a job in Chicago, wanted to stay there, and at the time at Northwestern, we had a lottery system for interviews, and I got a really good number. And people were saying, hey, you should interview with this company called Leo Burnett. And I'm like, well, I don't know much about it, but I heard it's great, and so I checked it out. So long story short, first of all, I married the girl. So 29 years later and 4 kids. My wife Alyssa, so that was good. And then a career in marketing has been a great run too. So I took a job at Leo Burnett in the media department, which really was a good balance. I think media was a great way to start in terms of it. It starts with, obviously it's very analytical, which fit with kind of my background and things. And then, but the fun of working on lots of different brands and lots of different experiences and kind of working on deals and seeing the creative process, again, far from being a creative, which has never been my kind of calling. But kind of being a part of the process, working with account people, working with creative people on my side, then working with networks and print and magazines in the day and working on different things like that. From there, like anything else, we started working on it kind of felt like I wanted to go to the other side of the desk. And it was just a matter of being at the agency is great, but it's a lot of work. It's crazy hours, all that kind of good stuff. So I worked on my MBA at the University of Chicago while I was working at Burnett, and got a call just about that time, like everything else, starting to think about a family and thinking about making the move to the suburbs and all that stuff. And I kind of used to joke about why am I getting my MBA. I said I'd love to work at Miller Brewing Company and work in sports marketing. So a buddy of mine had left and joined Miller Brewing Company. So I took a job up there in their media department as a media manager, and then eventually became a brand manager on Miller Lite, Milwaukee's Best. And so spent about 12 years at Miller Brewing Company. And then Miller Brewing Company, of course, ironically became Miller Coors and moved back to Chicago. And with a young family, something I had done the Chicago thing. I know how that goes. And but it was probably time to do something else anyway. So at that point, I took a job at Northwestern Mutual here in Milwaukee. Was their director of brand and advertising. A great run, great company. As much as you talk about working with finance guys, a company just filled with super smart, super successful people. But again, marketing people, I was like a freak show. It was something else, like in terms of how we thought, how we did things, was completely, which was fun, but it was with people who, didn't necessarily need marketing to succeed given the success of that company, but a great company. So I was there for about 7 years, and then this job at Steinhafels opened up, and I was kind of looking to do something else and ready to kind of get out. Having only worked for really big companies, met with the folks at Steinhafels, and I think met with Gary and Mark and the team here, and they were really looking for ways that they recognized they really had to transform what they were doing. A heavy TV-based company. Every sale started on Sunday. Why did it start on Sunday? Because that's when the newspaper circular hit that talked about the sale. Yeah. And they really realized that it's time to change, it's time to kind of move things along in terms of what they were doing. So that was about 5 years ago. So it's been a great run here at Steinhafels in terms of what we've been doing.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool, Chad. Thank you so much for giving us that kind of that foundation to build from. So one of the things, you listed off just some amazing brands, right? Miller, Northwestern, Steinhafels. Big brands. Chad, I am dying to get your take on how these different organizations approached marketing and branding. How similar were they and how different were they? Or are they right now? Because you're currently with Steinhafels. Yeah. Could you give us that kind of like breakdown, your viewpoint on that?
Sure. I would say, Miller Brewing Company was, I was there kind of post the peak of Miller Lite, if you will. So I came in post, if you guys remember the ill-fated Dick campaign, which was that kind of way to reposition Miller Lite and things like that. I would say the biggest thing at Miller was, we used to joke about, we made two things. We made beer, really good beer, and beer commercials. It was this product. And we had this whole thing about, hey, we kept thinking we're one funny beer commercial away from turning the business around. And we would look at data and we would say, as brand managers, we're looking at analytics, we're looking what 21-year-olds are saying about Miller Lite versus Bud Light. And nobody talked about Bud Light had more funny commercials. That was the What's Up Days and the frogs and all this goofy stuff. And it was never about that. But it was always about, the power of commercials created this mythology of, hey, all we needed were one new ad campaign away from turning the ship around. And that was Miller Lite, Miller Genuine Draft, Miller High Life, you name it. That was kind of the mythology of it, really. And it never really, the data never backed that up. So it really was learning what is the power of brands? How are consumers reacting to what choices they make? Again, not to say that advertising is not impactful, but it's packaging, it's pricing, it's where you're available, and how are you satisfying products that meet people's needs. That's really what the marketing plan does, and that's really how you kind of look at everything. Are you in the right place? Are you at the right time? Sure, commercials are important. You got to have entertaining commercials. You got to really commercials that persuade. But the idea that somehow we're one commercial away from turning the business around, or one ad campaign away from turning the business around, was something that was it was a constant roller coaster. So guess what? Agencies came in and out. CMOs came in and out, because you kept constantly looking for that kind of magic. This is how we're going to save the business. Yeah. It's great, tasteless filling. Bob Uecker and John Madden commercials are going to save the day again. Yep. And it could, that never worked.
Yeah.
What's interesting is Chad, and we were talking a little bit before we started to interview. I look at your your career, where you've been, a couple things strike me. One is we've talked to people, you come across people and they've made a lot of stops. And it's like 2 years here, 2 years there. When I look at your career path, you're making stops and you're adding a lot of meat on the bone before you move on, which is I think that's impressive. So if you talk through where you've all been, it's like you've had some meaningful stops there, which I think is cool. You've really been able to make an impact. The other thing too is, with me being on the advertising agency side of the business, I look at where you started your career, initiation by fire. Your perspective is different because you have the benefit of having worked at an agency in one of the world's largest, where things move pretty darn fast and you're being exposed to a lot. Right. I've got to imagine that, like anything, that had to have been quite a impact on your career and how you've been able to kind of take those lessons throughout.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, I get every once in a while, I'll get somebody who is an ad major. My kid's an ad major. Would they like to meet with you and talk to you? And the first thing I always say is go work at an agency. You don't want to work at court. You don't want to work on the client side yet. It's like the agency life, especially again, you're young, you're working crazy hours, you're not making that much money, but it's a lot of fun. We had a great time. We're in Chicago. We're having, everybody's having a good time doing it. Yeah. But you're working on lots of different pieces of business. You're working on everything. In my career, I worked on Nintendo. I worked on Kellogg's. So targeting, how do you target kids and tweens? How do they consume media? What creative works? From Oldsmobile, which was a lot of old dudes, to everything from Smucker's Jam, where we're talking older than you can even imagine in terms of the targeting. But you're working on different clients. So you're learning kind of how do they work? What are their problems? And then you're applying to kind of what we do, so you're learning how to present a lot. You're learning how to get in front of clients. You're learning how to communicate. You're learning how to write, these were the days before emails when I was doing it, for goodness sakes. It's a lot of power, even literally acetate presentations and things like that and memos, but you name it. I think that's a great way to do it. So, I think, Kurt, your point about kind of hopping around, I think, people, I was always kind of, and still to this day, there's always, there's days, any job. I mean, and you get approached and you're thinking about it, but the grass is always greener. And, Leo Burnett, we always used to joke, you can only leave once. You can kind of you can layer that move once. And same thing for Miller and same thing for Northwestern Mutual. I mean, working for great companies with great people, that's always what I was looking for. You want to advance, you want to keep learning, you want to keep developing what you're doing, being appreciated, of course. But, too much hopping, at some point you're kind of, and again, I'm the first one to say, we all kind of have career in marketing. You can get a little stale, no question. You're doing the same thing. You get on this treadmill a little bit. And so changing up and kind of looking at things differently is a good thing to do too. But, I think being deliberate about your career, feeling like you're growing, feeling like you're constantly making a difference, and that you're working for great companies that are succeeding is what's fun about the career.
So, Chad, let's you gave us a lowdown about Miller, and they were one in their minds, and the viewpoint back then was one campaign away from just turning this the Hail Mary kind of pass. Then you move over to Northwestern Mutual. What's the vibe there? Where were you focused on there? I got to believe the pace of life is a little bit slower, just given the nature of that space. But talk to us about that.
I mean, it was a different kind of challenge by far. I mean, I think, like I said, I think Northwestern Mutual, again, objectively, they just, the success of this company, I didn't even appreciate it until I got there. I mean, look at what they just announced. They're going to, another $500 million tower downtown Milwaukee. I mean, just a fabulous company doing really, really well and a great place to work. But I think at that point, they were kind of like, are we a brand? What is the brand? I mean, if you guys go back in time, and when I first got there, I was like, they hated the Quiet Company. Do you guys remember the Quiet Company?
Yeah, sure.
Talk to me about that. Like, is that your great taste, less filling? It was like, what's the heritage about that? And what does that mean? And diving into that. And I think that to them, it was a very insulated kind of culture about that. About, hey, we are a great company. Your job is to tell that story. And I was like, that's great. When I first got there, the ad campaign that they loved, which was, again, it was interesting, but it was all kind of about talking about the the awards, the recognition, why permanent life insurance from Northwestern, which had this big grand score to it. It was like a 60 or a 90, if you remember. It was animated. It was like computer animation. It was pretty cool. But I tested in focus group, and consumers did not like it at all because it makes me read. It's just all about you. It's kind of like the advertising where it's like, we used to joke, it's a little bit about my kid's an honor student. I'm happy for you. I'm really happy for your kid being an honor student. But what does it have to do with me? So it was about taking the brand and saying, yes, all these great things that make Northwestern Mutual. But a brand is that emotional connection. Like, what do you do for people? How do you get to the heart of it? And again, you see the ad campaign that Ready Today kind of does a great job of that too. We did some stuff talking about what is that role that advisors do for you? That's the connection. That's the brand. It is the strength of Northwestern Mutual. This is objectively the world's best life insurance company. It's here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But how do you turn that into a brand? And that was the biggest kind of nut we were working on at Northwestern Mutual, because it wasn't about one ad campaign is going to make them more successful. If anything, right. That was hard to prove we moved the needle, because unless it was how is it making better? But getting that message out there as a brand, talking about the amazing work that their financial advisors do for people, how they can make you feel more secure, and how as they are moving into financial planning along with insurance, telling that story. But really, it's how do you connect that to a brand? How do you connect that to a heart? And what does that mean? Because we always used to say, again, this stuff is expensive. If you're a client of Northwestern Mutual, these are not inexpensive products. I don't care what you're buying.
Right.
But they're great. They perform well, all that stuff. But again, you're writing a big check usually, and you're probably deferring other things like vacations and cars, and because you're saving, you're protecting your family. So it has to have kind of a tangible feeling to that. Like, what are you doing? What is that about what you're doing that makes it important? So we really tried to communicate that. But it was kind of taking, like, the challenge there was, how do you take this fabulous company, help turn it into a brand, connect with it emotionally? Because again, the name Northwestern Mutual could be Mass Mutual, New York Life. There's a million of them. And how are these companies any different? And that's really what we did. That's really what we strove to do there.
And Chad, back then, was there a willingness to do that and build the brand and go that? Because it seems that my experience has been a lot of people will talk a strong brand game, like the importance of brand, and we really believe in it. But yet when it comes to time to, okay, well, this is what we have to do, and putting money to back it, well, hold on a second. That brand's not that important, right?
There was some of that. No question. I mean, when we did that, they were spending money, but nothing substantial. And we didn't get, we certainly weren't spending Miller Lite money with them or anything like that. But we did the deal when I first got there with the Rose Bowl. We were the presenting sponsor of the Rose Bowl. We were partnered with NCAA Athletics. It was kind of like we chased a little bit kind of that affluent demographic, and beyond. We tried to get beyond, like, we always used to joke about golf. That's where, if you watch golf is old white guy media kind of thing. And so we want to get beyond that and get broader and bring in women and college graduates. And so college sports worked really well for us. So yeah, we invested there, no question. But again, there were a lot of questions. Yeah. There were a lot of questions like, what are we getting for this? Because you could always do a brand study, and we did all that stuff. And are you growing awareness? Are you more willing to meet with an advisor? Because again, they don't sell any of their products direct to this day. Right. It all comes through Northwestern Mutual Financial Advisor. Right. So they had to kind of understand the power of the brand. Again, why are you going to take a meeting? Again, even you're going to take a meeting with somebody, and that's a big barrier. So that was really what they were doing. But yeah, they had a lot of questions about that. Does this matter? Is this all about corporate ego? No, I by no means did I have 100% fans. And there were a lot of people who, again, lawyers and actuaries and investment people are very rational. But I'm this, I was for a long time, I was the beer guy. And I kept saying, I'm not a beer, beer I'm a nice, I grew up in Wisconsin. Yeah, I'll have a Miller Lite. And I'm not going to do any of those commercials here for Northwestern Mutual, but that was what marketing was all about. And again, there's still great people there. They're doing great work, and they're moving the needle, which makes me very proud to keep in touch with those guys.
What also is interesting. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit here. You're touching a lot of categories, and I want to skip ahead now. Not really skip ahead. I want to go right to Steinhafels.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that a little bit, because if you look at agency, beverage, financial, now we go into retail. And looking at where you started your position at Steinhafels pre-COVID. A lot has happened. So obviously you're trying to help build the brand, maneuver the brand, all these things during some crazy times. But Chad, I want to hear more about what that was like. But I also want to get you said something about making that connection. It's all about making that connection with the consumers. When I think of a Steinhafels, you're not, I mean, you're the expert, but you're not selling just furniture. There's
Correct.
more going on here. I mean,
Correct.
what is that connection? How do you define that connection
Yeah.
with we offer, an atmosphere or some sort of, what is that connection like?
That's a great question, Kurt. I mean, I think when I first, started here, I remember my first day with Gary Steinhafel, who's, he's a retail genius. I mean, he really is. His whole career has been in this business in some form or another, but he has a vision for kind of what the store experience is like, what the products are like. He was just a brilliant man to get to know as I started my career here. But he was pretty quick to tell me, you're not the secret. You're not here to save Steinhafels or do anything. I mean, our company is based upon, the experience that you get in our showrooms. I mean, our stores are beautiful. You walk into Steinhafels, it's a spectacular experience. I didn't really appreciate that as much because, of course, I'm sure we're all customers of Steinhafels living in Milwaukee long before I got here. Everybody had bought something from Steinhafels.
Right.
So at least you knew a little bit about us. But you see our stores versus our competition, and that's the difference. But it's what how the stores present themselves. And then really, one of the most underrated parts of our experience is what happens in our delivery experience. It is a piece of furniture that before it leaves our Steinhafels warehouse is perfect. Everything is shined up. Everything is perfect. If there's any, like anything, it's being transit, whether it be wood or fabric. So it's perfection. Comes to your house. It's expertly delivered. It's placed exactly where you want it in your home. The whole idea of in your home is the most personal thing you go through. You know what I mean? It's like, this is my dining room set. This is where I'm going to have meals with holidays with my kids and my family, or this is my brand new house we just moved into. Here's the sectional, here's the sofa, here's the bedroom set, here's everything for my kids' bedroom. It's a very personal purchase. Again, you're not going in here thinking like, the heck with it. We're not going to have this that long. I mean, maybe, but that's not the business we do. We don't do the,
Right.
The cheaper furniture that's kind of going to be left in the alley when you move. So there's that personal connection there from walking in the store, the showroom, how the salesperson guides you to what you need, to kind of that experience when it comes to your home. Because one of the first things that, when I came into the brand, and I remember when my interview, which luckily it kind of worked out because Gary didn't like my answer to this question, but it was like, who do you kind of think of us when you think of Steinhafels? And I said, what's a great parallel to me is Sendix, Lexus, Disney, Kimpton Hotels, which is, it's like a cut above what you expect. And you can go to Pick and Save, nothing wrong with Pick and Save or Metro Market, but Sendix is, a step above that. It's a cut above everything. Yeah, it's a little more expensive probably, but it's a great experience. I'm a loyal Sendix guy. So, and Gary kind of stopped me. He goes like, that's not what I want you, that's not our story. And I was like, okay. Because meaning it's like, we want people to feel like there's always something you can afford at Steinhafels. There's something for everybody here. We do cross price points, but the difference is it's coming from Steinhafels, because really there are no quote brands other than mattresses. Mattresses are brands, Tempur-Pedic, Beauty Best. But a lot of the big brands have kind of gone away, the Bassett's, or at least they're not consumer brands.
Yep.
So you're going to tell somebody, I bought this sofa from Steinhafels. I bought this dining room set from Steinhafels. So no matter the price point, it's got to be our quality. But it's important to note that people can always afford something here. And so that's kind of there's no reason to shop anywhere else. Kind of feeling about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the key aspects of it.
Chad, you just hit on something, and let me get your take on that, and how do you resolve this? So, as a marketer, and we all are, one of the things that the red flags start going up when I'm meeting with a client, for the first time, and whatever the product is, it's like, well, we're something for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, that means nothing, right? So how do you, as you're hearing that, then how did you resolve that, or how did you maybe we need to think about it this way, or how did what happened after that? I
would say what makes it in common, though, it's not that it's like, hey, we have expensive stuff, because we do. Trust us, we do. We make a lot of expensive things. we want you to feel, no matter where you are in the process, your first home to your lake home in Economowoc, that you're spending a fortune on, or where you name it, now in Chicago. Yeah. We want you to feel comfortable here. We want you to feel like you can get a nice piece of furniture, no matter the price point, that is Steinhafels quality. And that experience will be the same for you in the showroom. If you're buying a $7.99 sofa or a $7,000 leather sectional. The experience needs to be the same, and the delivery people have to treat you the same way. They're not just going to drop this off for you.
Gotcha.
You know, it almost strikes me. It's like I love where you were going with this. Like as brand practitioners and brand lovers, I loved your answer, and I was hoping you were going to go there, and I expected you to go. But you're selling that. You know, all the things you were saying, Chad. It's an experience. It's an emotion. It's security. It's a lifestyle. You know, and I couldn't but help think about too, like the Kleenex of, like you were saying. It's like there's a lot of grocery stores, but they're not Sendik's.
That's right.
There's a lot of furniture places, but it's not Steinhafels. You know, and all of a sudden by positioning it that way, you've just indirectly put yourself in a different bucket. I bet you can't help yourself as a marketer, as a brander, and as someone now in the retail space. Do you look around and just look at other folks, whether it's a competitor, and like, gosh darn it, if I had my hands on their steering wheel, if I could give this some advice, I would tell them to do this. I mean,
that's right. I mean, it's about the experience and how they deliver it. That's different. You know, I mean, one of the things that's unique about this proposition, though, is now we're expanding into Chicago. You know, we have 3 stores in the Chicago area. We have 2 more coming, one this fall, one next spring. So it'll be a 5 with more to come, hopefully after that.
Yeah.
But you know, the only thing I hear about from people in Steinhafels there is I drive by the one in Kenosha, or if you are aware of it, like I'm excited that you're coming, but what is this? And so the brand challenge became a little bit different, because obviously we're not talking about, hey, we're the nice people from Wisconsin coming to Chicago, or how do we establish that? That's a little different. So it's about, you know, the good news is there's really nothing like us in Chicago. There's lots of furniture stores, but there's nothing like this experience that kind of does what we do. And so the 3 stores we have are absolutely spectacular in terms of where we are there. But now it's like we're starting from scratch.
Right.
And from my perspective, too, as an advertiser, you know, the first thing, you know, it's we're not just going into Chicago TV like we are on Milwaukee TV. We can't afford that. So yes, we're leveraging television, but we're doing it more through the OTT space, through local cable connects, those kind of things. But it's really more of a digital marketing play, getting videos, getting search in there. We wanted people to experience the brand differently, because there it's like until you come into our store, that's when you're going to understand what Steinhafels is about. There's no commercial that can kind of convey that type of experience as much as we do. We try it. We show how well these look. But we have to get you when you are maybe that, you know, that store you drive by on Highway 88 all the time. Hey, now we need some furniture. Now we need a new mattress. Let's check that out. And once I get you in the store, once I get you to the website, I can close you. I feel pretty good about that. But it's about how do we establish that brand. Yeah, in Milwaukee, everybody has a Steinhafels store. Even in Madison, now we're in Green Bay and Appleton. People can kind of connect with what we are doing out, because it's such a ubiquitous brand here. But Chicago, you know, we're a little fish in a big pond, if you will.
Chad, break this down for us. I want to talk to you about how when you got at Steinhafels, your frameworks for approaching the business, right? You're coming from Starcom, you're coming from Miller, you're coming from Northwestern. How did you approach the business? What were the things that you looked at and saying, you know, these are the things that I focus on.
Yeah.
But then I don't want to stop there, because you potentially have to redo your framework. So you start the business, then a pandemic hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you got to come out of the pandemic. Now you're opening up things and like. Okay, there's a lot there, Chad. So let's just start with when you got there.
I mean, I would say, you know, the first thing I had to do was learn this business. You know, again, I don't pretend to be, you know, beer. It's just like Northwestern Mutual. The first thing I did was I wanted to understand how these products work. What makes Northwestern Mutual? You know,
and what do you do, Chad, to learn that? What's your process of learning the business?
I mean, I think it's coming in. It's a spirit of humility, quite frankly. I learned from day one. I was not hired to save Northwestern Mutual. I was not hired to save the Miller Brewing Company. I was not hired to save Steinhafels. These are very successful. These are not distressed assets. So it's coming in with the spirit of humility. You know, there's lots of people here who know the business. You know, I mean, I got made fun of early because I refer to them as couches. We don't call them couches. We call them sofas or love seats. You know, it's a couch. No, it's not a couch. And they kind of nudge me, don't say couch. That kind of thing. It's like, okay, I got it. Yep. It's like, it's learning what we do, learning to respect what we do. And again, because there's people here who deliver the furniture. And actually, they're more important than I can make the greatest commercial in the world, but if you have a lousy delivery experience, it doesn't matter. Or if the salespeople treat you rudely, it doesn't matter. So it was a lot of listening. You know, a lot of just like with our distributors at Miller and just like our financial representatives at Northwestern Mutual, I just spent a lot of time in the stores and I talked to the salespeople and say, what do you need? What can help? What are people saying? What do you need from me? What would help you? You know, because again, we sell furniture, we deliver furniture. I spend money. So it's like, I'm in that negative. I don't add to the bottom line. And again, that's not what marketing people do. But if what I'm doing is not helping you, if what we're not doing in marketing is not helping to make a difference, to bring consumers to you, to grow our e-commerce business, to kind of, then we're just talking to ourselves. And you know, again, they're productive. So it's about listening. It's about really diving in. And, you know, like I said, I spent a lot of time, again, pre-COVID in the stores, as much as I could, getting around them, talking to them, going to meetings.
And what did you learn, Chad? When you talk to those people, did you see like, oh boy, there are some issues? Or did you say like, holy cow, man, we've got something good here. We just need to press the gas pedal and drive it further. Yeah.
And I would say we're really good. You know, I was impressed. I think, again, these are our salespeople are 100% commission salespeople, 100%. Kind of a little bit like Northwestern Mutual. You know, the sales, if they're not selling a policy, if they're not getting paid. I mean, I get a check every other week or whatever.
Right.
So it's respecting that. That's the key to what they do, and really understanding and just sitting back and watching. You know, how they help a customer who doesn't really necessarily know what they want. It's not a, you know, kind of a, how do they handle things? How do they learn from, what are the tools and tactics that they need? It's like, is it a promotion? You know, we're doing some things like that. Is it, you know, a financing offer? Is it just $100 off here? What are the ways that really good salespeople can kind of help you? Again, because it's not even, you don't want to sell somebody something they don't need or aren't going to like, because they can always cancel. They can always return the product. You want them to really, hey, we came in looking for this. Maybe we found it. You guided me. You kind of understood, hey, we want to spend about this much money. You didn't try to upsell me. You tried to put me into the right product. Again, because you want this family, person, couple, you name it, to feel really happy and they made a good choice. So when that comes to their house, it's a really big experience. We're going to sit on this couch forever. And it's going to be a really good thing. So that's really figure out, hey, we're really good at what we do. You know, I think that was important. I think one thing also is beneficial for us at Steinhafels, we do, again, there's kind of, again, I joke a little bit, there's almost like the 7 families. Like, again, we're a family-run furniture company. There's one like us in Minneapolis. There's one like us in Michigan. There's one like us all over the country. We have a group of about 15 of these people that we network with. So we kind of share ideas. As marketers, we kind of share ideas. They're non-competing, kind of same kind of budget, kind of challenges. That was a great way to say, hey, this one works. This works. This doesn't work. Have you tried this? And just going and kind of, you know, again, they quickly figured out my last name wasn't Steinhafels, so sometimes I was at the kids' table, but that was fine. I work in marketing. I'm used to that. I'm not Andrew Steinhafel or anything. But it was a great way to learn and share. You know, I mean, I think it's a very generous industry, again, because I mean, we compete very vigorously against those we compete against, but we're all looking to share ideas and, hey, we tried this for President's Day, or this is our last year's Memorial Day promotion. Why don't you try something like that?
Chad, when you were talking about the Steinhafels difference, what your competitive advantage is, you know, obviously in store, the experience, I have to address the elephant in the room. So it's kind of like you go through a pandemic and one of your big competitive advantages is getting people in store, or having that kind of experience. You know, I think about beer. It's like, I was going everywhere. Sendix, Otto's, it didn't matter. I'm buying their product. Liquor was through the roof. How did you, so knowing that was a competitive advantage, like that's part of the overall deliverable, how did you pivot through that? Because obviously there had to have been an adjustment where all of a sudden, geez, this was something that we own that others don't. You've just had one of my arms. Did that shift to like, we had to rethink our e-commerce or how we do our what? Talk to us about how that you had to shift a little bit during that time period.
Yeah, so we very quickly became an e-commerce company. You know, very quickly. You know, we were whatever that day in March when we had to close, like everybody else closed, and basically through Memorial Day, depending on how things happen. We were an e-commerce company, so very quickly our competitive advantage was coming into the stores, seeing, touching, feeling, working with a salesperson. Not doing that, and at the same time, we coupled that with what was everybody doing? You know, we're painting bedrooms. We are going through our house. We can't leave this darn house. We'd love to get, you know, we loved it. We're sitting on this sofa a long, long time. We'd love to get a new one, or even better, hey, suddenly we've got all these government checks. We're not going on vacation. We're not, blah, 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 blah. We're investing in our house. And so we had to very quickly, demand, went through the roof. People wanted to buy stuff. So we very quickly put in kind of a virtual consultative selling thing. Plus, we also had salespeople we needed to get employed or give, obviously, to give them jobs. So kind of like this, they would consultative sell on our website to kind of quickly put you in front of something. What are you looking for? Let me help you find something. Literally walking around our stores with a cell phone, kind of, it was a little bit spooky in this, kind of like helping you to find something. And that worked really well, and then we luckily came into the pandemic in a really good stock position. Again, we have a massive 280,000 square foot warehouse here. And so we had lots of stuff. So when all that stopped, you could not get product. So suddenly, we joked in stock is our top selling product. If you had it, people wanted it, they wanted to get it. And we were in a really good stock position. But now we had the other challenges of, I can't touch it, can't see it. Nor do I really want someone coming to my house.
Right.
Now it sounds kind of goofy, but that's kind of spooky. Like that, do I want two dudes coming into my house, or try lifting one of these massive leather power sectionals with a mask on and get it upstairs and you try to breathe and never working out in the mask, and or with gloves, or do you want people in the house? So we had to kind of reinvent the hat experience. So we offered what we called like basically Amazon shipping, where we boxes dropped off at your house, kind of you hit the doorbell and you went back to the truck and waved kind of thing. But that's a terrible experience. If you've ever done it, don't do it. It's a heavy product. How do I do this? How do I touch it? So we would call ahead of time from the truck. People could literally hide in a room, drop off the product and go. We had to kind of reinvent that table what people wanted to kind of adjust to that experience.
Right.
But it really was all about, what I found was a little bit scary because obviously nobody knew how the world was going to react or how consumers were going to react after this. But we had all of that trust in Steinhafels as a brand, that consumers trusted us through the experience. They trusted us when we were able to reopen. Many goofy conversations during COVID, but I remember, we finally were allowed, if you guys remember, there's like therapy sessions we all need to go through to kind of get past this, but we were allowed to open by appointment only. So if you remember that, like you could have an appointment. And again, it was kind of goofy, but, so literally we had to, things set up, you could make an appointment. But if you remember at the same time, you would go, again, these are massive, huge stores. So social distancing, very easy in a grocery store, and very easy in a Steinhafels. We can easily create plenty of space. No touch checking out. Now compare that to Costco and grocery stores. It was insane. You're walking in there. It was just like, it was crazy. And so we're talking to some of the government people, particularly in our state capital, who were like, no, you cannot reopen. We're like, here's what we're trying to do. Here's how we're going to do this. Because we didn't sell appliances. So if we had to sell appliances, we could have opened up. But I was talking to these people. I was like, Costco's open. They're selling furniture. Have you been in a Costco? You're going to tell me that that's safer than a Steinhafels where we have, on a good day, 200 people coming through our 200,000 square foot store.
Right. Right.
So we had to adjust that because when we were allowed to reopen, it really was all about getting them to trust us. Same thing. It's like, because you never know where people are. So, get through the whole mask, no mask debate, but you want to give people space and you want people to just look. It's fine. We'll help you when you need it. No touch checking out, the whole thing. And our salespeople did a great job. They adjusted. It was always about meeting people where they were. If you wanted help, if you didn't want help, I got it. People were scared, but they needed stuff, wanted stuff, and then that worked out for us. But it was all about the relationship we really had with customers then that we were able to leverage. I think that's how we got through it.
I gotta tell you real quickly though, because I'll forget. Your location, I drive by the location off 94 all the time. That is a stationary billboard as far as I'm concerned. It's beautiful. So as you were saying, when people walk inside, the experience is a step above. So is the outside. And so I am sure that, as people were going back and forth, they see that. You see the landscape. You see the beautiful building. What does that tell you about the brand? A lot. That's right. It's like the value of that alone is brilliant. So
and
that's
the vision of Gary Steinhafel. Again, the family's great. Gary would literally, I'd be walking through a store with him, and he would find grass coming up through the crack in the pavement. He'd pull it up. He hated that. Or if there was weeds in the front. I mean, his stores are meticulous in terms of what they look like. And that whole experience from the minute you drive in and park, how they look, how clean they are, how well painted they are. I mean, again, all the land here in the Waukesha campus, it's full of like, we have this literally a walking path full of like beautiful art. Again, I'm here in corporate here. We have beautiful art all over the place. It's the beauty of the business. It's the beauty of the Steinhafels experience that makes us different. That's but it's in that it's beauty, but I always say it's accessible. It's not, don't make people think like, I can't, this is way over my head. This is craziness. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
But like you said, Kurt, that's the locations we look for. If you think about the Menominee Falls location, right by that was there before Costco was there, but right off the highway. Our store in Oak Creek, our store in Kenosha, our Madison store, Green Bay, we're right on Oneida. Within, you can see Lambeau Field from the new store up there. And the Chicago stores are the same way. We want them by highways, major arteries, because this isn't where you shop every week, but maybe once a year you need something. So you want to be able to think about, I'm going by there, and that's kind of how that's the Steinhafels experience.
Chad, I have to ask you this is, marketing, we talked a lot about the brand, but marketing, as you say, it's spending dollars, it's spending, media. So how do you approach that in that, Steinhafels, when you said it, it's like we do a lot of circular types of things. Our ads come out on this date. How do you balance
but we used to.
balance what's going on and like, hey, but we have to keep an eye on where the puck is going to, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've kind of shifted our focus to the first stop is the website. So that is where, and I think our research, how we look at it, we think at least 8 out of 10 people before they come into the store are going to steinhafels.com to figure out what they want, what price they can afford, what the current promotion is. So most of our efforts are getting people to steinhafels.com. Then I would balance that with, we are, each weekend is an event. We have a different sale event. We're in the President's Day sales event. We'll go from President's Day to Mattress Madness in March to Friends and Family to Memorial Day. We kind of march through a retail calendar.
Yep.
And that's about like, hey, making sure that the whole world kind of knows, hey, there's a big sale this weekend at Steinhafels, check it out. So you balance, that's kind of that multimedia, why we use billboards, why we use, sponsorships with, different things like that, why you'll see us, in the 10 o'clock news or whatever, you name it, television is where we are. But then, there's that other piece of it really, which the other half of the money really is in the digital space, which is communicating to, hey, I'm looking for a mattress, looking for a sectional, making sure Steinhafels is popping up in those searches, making sure the web experience is great, making sure, digital advertising and things like that, you are, if you're, quote, in market, because we all send off signals about being in market through our search behaviors. We want to make sure that 4 to 6, 8 week window when you're actively searching for a new mattress, boy, we're in front of you. That's outside of the big sale. That's outside. Yep. That's really that kind of that targeting of people who are in market shoppers, and no matter what you call them, making sure you're leveraging those people. And so we do lots of things to get after that.
So, Chad, is there a dashboard? Is there a series of like key metrics that you are like religiously looking at? Like, you've got a lot of things going on, but hey, this is what I live and die by. It's these numbers right here. And what are they? If you could, would you mind?
No, that's sure no problem. I mean, every day I'm looking at, I start my day. There's a couple things I obviously look at the night before sales, looking at sales by store, by market, by major product. At least what are we moving? What's kind of working? What's not working?
Yeah.
And then, but it's also really, I read, again, this is a little more of a trailing metric, but we do product review. We do reviews. So 1-star, 5-star reviews. So I read every review that comes through. They all hit my desk, good and bad. And again, I do tend to spend more time with the bad ones than the good ones, which is not a good idea. It sometimes puts me in a bad mood, but
sure.
The 1-star reviews, we look at all those, and so we're tracking how those are doing. Can we turn that customer around? One of the things we've done very consciously is, I think when we got here, the average Google review for a Steinhafels, I'm going to say, was less than a 4. And for a lot of different reasons, because again, your proclivity to post a review is when something bad happens. My delivery guy was late.
Yep.
Product is not what I want to do. 1-star. Boom.
Yep.
So, we use a system now, right as you leave the store, we give somebody an opportunity to give us a 5-star review, because you leave the store, you're really happy. You found what you wanted.
Yep.
Sales guy was great.
Yep.
Give us a 5-star review. And we move those metrics up dramatically. I think our average now is like 4.6, 4.7. It's
wow.
phenomenal.
Yep.
Which is how that's the experience we're delivering.
Yep.
But So I'm looking at those, and we're monitoring those and taking a look at that. We're looking at web traffic, as you can imagine, sessions, bounce rate. I want to make sure people are finding what they're looking for on the website. Where are they going? Where are they getting stuck? If they're coming in from different places, those type of metrics. And then, I'm constantly adjusting, and we're looking at different things about our spending levels. We obviously have targets of budgets versus kind of the spend. So sometimes we're over investing. How are we doing as a spending portion of the business in terms of what are we doing is really working hard for us. But that's where it starts for us.
Chad, do you have any say in product development at all?
A little bit. I mean, we have a merchandising team.
Yeah.
That's incredible. They're all over. They're going to the major markets, and we just had one in Las Vegas. They have one in North Carolina where they go and buy product. So I'm involved in more in the mattress side of things. Again, those are brands that we market like Kurtl and Tempur-Pedic. So I get involved with the marketing of those, but really, the price points and those type of things are really established, by our merchandising team. They don't need my help picking out styles and fashions. My job is to make sure all the photos are correct. I mean, one of the things we have here at Steinhafels is we have our own photo studio. So it's an amazing facility. Again, when I came in here, I was like, holy cow, this is the investment they made here in this studio is phenomenal. So every piece of furniture that comes in here is photographed by us on our website for the website. So we have a 360 turntable that shoots it in 360. Wow. Typically, we put the piece in a lifestyle set, so it has different ways to look at it. And that video and that everything is from the website to the digital ads to the TV commercials. It all comes from what we do. So we're involved with that. Like that's setting the style. That's setting I can see a piece of furniture. It's fitting what I looked for in terms of the size of the. I can see it in my house. Kind of that. Yep. That's what we call them lifestyle settings. Like, wow, yep. I can see that. And so that's where we get into that decision of we want it to look nice. We want it to look achievable, not. Yep. Some kind of crazy that this is too much or too out of style for me.
What I'm hearing is that you coming out of COVID, things are moving in the right direction. You're talking about opening up more stores in Chicago, a huge freaking market, right? That's awesome. You're talking about your reviews have gone from, up to now 4.6, 4.7, which is you're killing it, right? Because nobody gets 5s. No one does, right?
It's always the way down, unfortunately.
You're expanding within the state as well. So, Chad, when you're looking out there, where do you see the challenge, like the marketing challenges for you, or is it just like?
No, it's I think number one, it's like don't take our success for granted. Again, it's a lot of it because Gary Steinhafel now is pretty much retired. He's not in the stores every day. So, you should be kind of, if they knew Gary was coming to the stores, it'd be like anything. It's like, hey, dad's coming over quickly. Let's pick up the house.
Yep.
So it's maintaining that retail standard, that retail vision of what is a Steinhafels. Again, people in Chicago, if we say, hey, it's like the Waukesha could be Mars. They may come up here once for a meeting, right. But as we grow, it's not this close little tight-knit family of understanding, hey, I know what is Steinhafels, what's it about? How do we keep that going?
Yep.
But I still, the biggest threat we still, like anything else, is the online disruption. It's Costco, it's Home Depot, all selling our stuff. You can go into Costco and you see more and more of that center section being furniture. It's in a box. The prices are pretty good. I see people hauling those things out on an orange cart. I wish them the best when they somehow try to get that home. But, we kind of, sometimes when I first got here too, a little bit of that whole idea of like, well, people are never going to not lay on a mattress before they buy it, or people are never going to not want to sit on a sofa. And my argument to that is like, when was the last time you tried on a pair of shoes before you bought it? When we were younger, you had to go in the store and they put the shoes on and check how much room you have. You walk around a little bit. Now it's like, I'm size 13 and I'll get some 13s and it'll be fine.
Yep.
And why can't that be a sofa? Hey, I know it's the brand. I know it's from blank. It's going to be fine. It's going to be nice. I can buy this online.
Yeah.
And that is because again, the price points, the whole thing, the experience is different. We can't take that for granted. And we can't have a website that's any less impactful than Costco's website, Amazon's website, Wayfair's website. No one gives us credit. Hey, we're just a mom and pop. don't expect our website to be able to do all that stuff, that you can do financing online, that you can that you can schedule delivery, you can do all these things. Our website has to be state of the art. So we've invested a ton of money in our website because that has to be our flagship store. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we've talked about is because right now web sales are about 5% of our sales, which is pretty good. It's better than spent. Why isn't that 10%? Why isn't that 15%? Why can't we make that get bigger and bigger as people get more and more comfortable? Either that changes that store experience. I can see something on I can see something on my phone. I can use a QR code. We have electronic tags now, which are phenomenal. It's like all of our pricing is electronic. It has a QR code. I can, get to the web page, see this product, see all the different styles it's available in. Is it in stock? What's the current finance offer for this product? I can engage with this piece entirely. I can save it there. I could send it to somebody else and hey, take a look at this one. So it kind of links the web experience to the store experience and then back again. Again, same thing. It's like, we don't necessarily want to, hey, I'm looking at this sofa, I'm looking at this sectional, I'm looking at this mattress. I want to think about it. Again, that's great. We all do that. But it used to be that people would come 4 or 5 stops before. People aren't doing 4 or 5 different furniture stores. They're coming to this one, maybe 2. So how can you get them to, hey, put this in your cart, go home and think about it. You can order it online and we'll take care of it from there. So creating that seamless experience is what we have to deliver. It has to be different. We can't just be a furniture store that has not changed in 50 years, but has to align that way. So we constantly have that experience has to get more and more modern. So it doesn't feel like, again, my Oldsmobile example from my Leo Burnett days, can't be your father's furniture store. Can't be my mom's furniture store. It's got to be mine just because I made the move I bought the house in the suburbs now. I want to go to IKEA. I'm going to go do something else. Steinhafels is this old stuffy, my grandma's furniture company. That we lose, we're done then.
Yeah. Chad, we're getting low on time here, but I got a couple other questions. Let's do some rapid fire stuff, right?
Sure.
You're talking to a couple agency guys. You started at an agency. You've been in marketing a long time. Where do you think agencies are going? Give us your view on the future of agencies.
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I said, I love agencies. I've worked for agencies. I value agencies. It's about the value add. It's like, what are you doing that's adding value? In terms of that piece of the equation, how do you add value? How do you kind of understand the client's business? Because again, it depends on what they're looking for. If you're looking for ideas, and again, it's not just, like I said, it's not just, hey, I need a commercial. I mean, again, that's great. Those are, Don Draper was very popular when he did that kind of thing, but that's gone. It's like, I need a solution. I mean, what's my problem? What's my challenge? What's my solution? Because otherwise, that's what I need to find out, no matter what I'm working on right now. So if agencies are kind of, if they're in that scope of things and helping understand, like, hey, what's my biggest challenge? Help me solve that. Bring me solutions. Bring me assets. Help it make it easy. Just like anything, it's like, hey, we're all working with fewer and fewer people, kind of in terms of headcount. But yeah, I love agencies. I'm still a big fan.
We're also hearing. I'm sorry, Pat, but I gotta just, if I could, we're also hearing, Chad, from a lot of people we talk to, the need for speed. Absolutely. You had said the Don Draper days. Gone are the days when a Leo Burnett could dream up an Oldsmobile ad for months and months and months. Nowadays, it's like, I need to have this happen now. So I think agencies, as well as marketers, in-house department, are under stress more than ever because you have to move and you got to move quick. And sometimes you have to take some gambles, but agencies cannot be slow, but we're hearing that a lot. Speed, fast.
12-month kind of creative development process is gone. Even in Northwestern, things are moving too rapidly. Insights are changing. Again, I think you have to kind of find ways to condense, kind of make some bets and kind of what you're doing there in terms of, but try different things. It's always about trying. It's about trying and learning. And like your question, Pat, about tracking, that's the key.
Chad, you mentioned you have a huge photography studio. You do a lot of stuff in-house. Is that a trend that you just see happening more and more? Organizations bringing more of the Marcom services in-house rather than going, using outside services?
Yeah, I get more questions about that. I think that's where, I think even, again, that was a move that they had done before I got here. They invested in the studio. That was not my decision. But, we handle our own media in-house, so we control everything. We kind of learn everything. It does help us keep it simple, kind of helps us keep it simple, kind of move forward there. Yeah. But even at Northwestern Mutual, as I was there, we are bringing more kind of creative development things out. Not the big TV commercial production things, but a lot more web development, a lot more of those type of things were coming in house, so that we were working on those together. But as I talk to other like I said, my peers and other furniture companies, yeah, much more so. Again, kind of like the players. Maybe it's because that some of that reliance on television has kind of declined as that primary vehicle, that we're all doing more digital things and more digital space, that we as a marketer need to control and be adjusting and following the clicks and doing things like that. Yeah, so it's continuing. I think it is, but it is also that whole thing about how do you bring people in, keep talent, and then attract talent, and because that's the key. If you're gonna take that approach, it's got to be a great place to work.
Chad, what's the role in looking your crystal ball again? What's the role of the CMO going forward? I mean, the marketing VPs and CMOs, this space has gotten very, very complex. Not only do you have to know like marketing communications, you now have to know technology, you have to know media buying, you have to know brand, you have to your numbers. You're also now crossing over into HR to a degree. I mean, it's finding a good person like you, Chad Dern. It's kind of like a unicorn. I mean, it's hard. What do you see happening?
Yeah, like I said, I think it was something earlier in my career. It used to be all about the ads. Is he or she good at making commercials? And that is so far, that's an important part of what we do. But really now the job of the CMO, or in my case the VP of marketing, it's all about how can you kind of look through, understand the brand. Again, we're the keepers of the brand. I still think that's I think if you're not loving the brand and kind of embracing the brand, again, I've only worked with great brands, but it's a hard thing to fake if you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But I would say it really is like you have to be the keeper of that. You have to be this is what Steinhafels does. This is what Northwestern Mutual is all about. You're still that kind of champion for the consumer. But really then it is that data. It is leveraging data. It's leveraging what you know, where are the facts, what are we doing, how is that landscape changing? And now I think the thing that scares me now is as more and more, as much as we rely on data and mobilytics of where this thing is going, now there's privacy laws coming in. They're saying, no. You're not going to find out was this phone in the Steinhafels, or was this phone searching for this? That's private protected materials, where we were relying on that to market to these people who are doing those things. So it's going to be ironically shifting probably a little bit back to more kind of broader marketing, because privacy and data restrictions are going to make it harder for me. Hey, I'm just going to target in-market shoppers. I'm going to own in-market shoppers, or I'm going to push an ad to every one of these devices that just went into a mattress firm or a Ashley furniture store, and I'm going to target them to know that I want them to come to Steinhafels. If that goes away, that's a big kind of piece of something in our toolbox that has changed, and we're going to have to adjust to that.
Last question, Chad. Give us a breakdown of your day. How do you spend? What's the pie chart look like?
I mean, I think, again, we're the first thing we do almost every day is we have an executive kind of huddle, either informally or informally. So Andrew Steinhafel, who's our president, our head of HR, our head of the distribution center, our head of sales, we get together and kind of review either the prior week's business, the prior day's business. And then we also, as much as we can, we also designate time to kind of think long term. How are we expanding? What are the big things? We want longer term planning. So we kind of almost every day starts with us either formally or informally. And then the bulk of my day is time spent with my team. We're in an open environment. We sit together, and so it's working with our media people. E-commerce is one of my functions. So we're managing the e-commerce and going through current situations of the website, social media, our whole creative development team, and that whole studio team, which operates a little bit independently, but kind of making sure what are we doing? How are things moving through the pipeline, and kind of keeping things going on. And then I spend a lot of time communicating with stores, in terms of like either whether it be questions or whether they be emails, or here's making sure that they have everything they need for this weekend's promotion so that they're ready to go. What do they need? Have they seen, we send all the commercials as many as we can, all the creative materials, so that they can share with their sales associates so that they know, hey, this is what those people walking through my door or the customer in front of me has probably seen. So at least they can understand, hey, I saw this dining room set in a commercial. If they don't know what that we're talking about, it's a bad experience. So, really communicating with the stores is kind of important. So we're here in, like I said, we're in the ground floor of the Waukesha headquarters. So the main Waukesha store is above me. So we spend some time walking around up there, and it's fun to see and talking to salespeople. They'll tell you what they think. If they like what we're They don't. They're not shy. They're not shy. So they're very quick to tell me. So I spend a lot of time walking around in the stores, either here or a day or two. Typically a day or two a week, I'm out in the stores going somewhere, and especially now that we're expanding in Chicago, getting down there a lot more than we used to. So it's been a lot of fun. It's a fun career. It's a great place to work.
Chad Dern, you have been awesome. We have blown through this time. Thank you so much for being on Over a Pint. Chad, we always give the guest the last word. So whatever you got to say, the mic is yours, sir.
Well, I would say, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun, and again,
awesome.
Thank you.
Good to get there. I would just say, I think the last thing I'd leave with people is it's about marketing. As much fun as we have is like you want to surround yourself with good people you want to work with. But really, it's about good brands. You want to work on brands that you believe in. Again, I can wear my Steinhafels on my shirt here, on my white guy quarter zip, as we always kid. But it's like, that's what it comes down to. If you can believe that, hey, Miller Lite is a great beer, Northwestern Mutual is a great company. That's where having the heart for the brand is important. It's hard to fake it. Marketing, it's really hard to fake it, and then you don't do good work there. So find a brand you love, and then fight for it, and really, be its protector.
Good advice.
Chad Dern, thanks again. That's it.
See you guys. This is a lot of fun.
Cheers. Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, guys.